Have you ever encountered a person that made you feel like you had to walk on eggshells? You knew what looks, actions, or words of yours would be offensive to them. It can be stressful and annoying. You're just trying to have a healthy relationship, but instead you constantly find yourself being caught off guard by yet something else you said or did this person is put off by. Or maybe it's worse than being confronted for your offenses, and instead this person doesn't communicate their disappointment in you, but leaves the environment tense and uncomfortable, as though they expect you to figure it out through their manipulative, passive-aggressive behaviors. What do? You long for healthy relationships. You understand that they take work, and you're even willing to hear where you've gone wrong and apologize. But what do you do when you're continually offending someone? Proverbs 19:11 says, "Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense." People who get offended easily can display their contempt in two ways: overtly and covertly. Overtly offended people come out of their face right away and outwardly express their issues with you. They have no problem telling you how you've ticked them off or hurt them once again, and may even be aggressive to the point of intimidation. Covertly offended people, on the other hand, are less in your face than their overt counterparts. They believe this makes them more of a good person, but covertly offended people are actually more dangerous than overtly offended people. They are the type to smile to your face, but silently stew in their feelings towards you. They are the type that says they forgive you, but instead they just add it to their list of offenses and go online to get you to believe they're okay with you. Meanwhile, they're offended by you. Whether you're dealing with an obnoxious overt or a cunning covert, what is it about these people that makes them so easily offended and difficult to be around? And should I just write them off? Here are 5 undeniable traits of an easily offended person that you need to watch out for to see if they're healthy to be in a relationship with. 1. Insecurity. Easily offended people often find themselves looking for validation from others and have a hard time brushing off little things, and that's based on their insecurity. Oh yes, they'll say things like, "I'm confident in who I am and I don't care what others think," but this simply isn't true. It's a mask that hides tremendous insecurity. In fact, as an aside, always be cautious of people who are trying to convince you that they are one thing without seeing any evidence. Insecure people struggle with self-worth, and as a result, they are constantly scanning their surroundings for validation to feel good. And that's where you come in. In their mind, you're there to validate them and prop them up. And when that doesn't happen, either intentionally or unintentionally, there's a problem. When someone comes along and says something that disrupts their narrative, there's a problem. Being offended makes insecure people feel empowered, and it allows them to make others feel guilty. They love that position of power since their self-worth is so low. That power makes them feel more secure. Insecure people typically experience an insecure attachment early in their life. They never learned how to interact with the world in a safe manner. But instead of now learning how to develop secure attachments, offended people find it easier to play the victim and to blame others. 2. Self-centered. People who are easily offended are self-centered and self-focused. They are on high alert for anything that threatens their fragile self-image. Everything in an offended person's world is interpreted through their own lens, regardless of how far from reality it is. Proverbs 18:2 says, "A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion." Once again, this is a protective mechanism that guards them against facing reality. This is also why you may be confused about the relationship, because when it's good, but when you've offended them, they seem to step into a position of power and have no interest in reasoning with you, and they shut down any conducive conversation. Number 3, impatient and angry. Have you ever noticed how easily triggered offended people can be? At any given moment, something you say can set them off. They're like a delicate time bomb that explodes with the slightest contact. They may be sweet-sounding one minute and nasty and defensive the next. They have short fuses and are triggered easily, but never assume responsibility for their behavior. outward anger and impatience from the overtly offended person are easy to spot, but be careful of the seething anger beneath the surface of the covertly offended person. They get triggered quickly because they don't want to be seen as angry. They will hide it, repress it, and otherwise pretend all is well. But whatever is in a person will come out of a person. Number 4, holds grudges. Romans 12:17 tells us, repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in sight of all. That's exactly what easily offended people do. They take a real or perceived offense, they let it fester in their mind, running it over and over again until the offense has grown into a full-blown grudge where they are thinking ill of you. It not only puts them in a place of power, but it's also evil because it's a version of vengeance, even if in only their mind. Holding grudges and offenses are also a way of avoiding vulnerability and the real problems at the root of their pain. 5, low self-awareness. Low self-awareness might seem like a contradiction to self-centeredness, but it's not. It's actually because of their low self-esteem and self-centeredness that they work extra hard to hide their flaws and weaknesses so as to appear better than they are. This often comes in the form of blame or denial. But Romans 12:3 says, for by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. Here's how their low self-awareness plays out. The easily offended person creates an image, typically an inaccurate image, that they wish to portray. So when someone comes along and challenges that image, said person is made to be the problem, not the truth that was revealed. For X, you said X, and as a result, I feel Y, so then you're the problem. You said, wow, what made you decide to do that? They feel incompetent and stupid, so therefore you and your question were the problem. That is not only unbiblical, it's no way to have a healthy relationship with someone. Easily offended people don't want healing. They want conformity. And unfortunately, God won't bring healing to areas we'd rather hide. So, should I just write them off? Each case will vary. If there's value in the relationship, then it may be your turn to overlook the offense and enjoy the other fruits of your relationship. But if you're dealing with someone who harbors grudges against you and is always putting you in a position where you have to continually prove yourself to them while they don't do much to contribute to the growth of that relationship, you are likely looking at someone who is only in it for the benefits it brings to them. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. Leaving a toxic relationship doesn't make you a bad person any more than staying in one makes you a better Christian. Just remember this. Just because someone was offended by you doesn't automatically mean that you were offensive. Yes, examine your heart and motives, but also remember that sometimes the problem lies with them and not you.